outside and then stop and then start again, it's just
Annoying,
miserable.
yeah.
Well, yeah, mosquitoes are bad. It felt real bad yesterday, cause it was, and today it's gorgeous outside. But we're inside.
You got my email with stuff for you.
Yes. I got a few additions or clarifications or something to add to that, I think I haven't looked at it since we last went through it, so.
I got it written from the registry.
Okay, I was wondering if it would just be that, you know, since it's a new survey, so.
That's what Mary said it should be on.
Well, Mary knows. Yeah.
She'd be the one that gets rejected.
Maybe before the meeting starts, I have a question about this.
Sure.
When did we decide on a 3-1 agreement?
That's just been a county practice.
Not a city practice.
Apparently not, that's just how it's. You can have, and it's not.
So I read the agenda to Mr. Collins. And he has to approve it, so. I don't feel like this agenda is
Well,
We don't.
and I'm doing this too, so,
We usually.
but it's, I know on the school board, we limited, it was, if I remember right, it was 5 minutes. back When I was on the school board, but you need, I believe you need to have a limit, otherwise you can
You
have.
probably have, in both those cases, the meetings are probably different. We average about,
0?
less than 2 public citizen
Sure.
appearances every meeting. You know, if you get 25 of them, you can see them.
Yeah. What?
So it's probably just.
Well, it's 3 o'clock, so let's call this meeting to order. Start on it, does anybody from the public have any comments tonight? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of last month's minutes. Are there any corrections?
I believe that, Marty Reynolds should probably be listed as present under the committee members. And that,
He's not actually a committee member.
yes, he is. He's a non-voting committee member, I can prove it when I look, but
Yeah, that'd be okay, cause I haven't seen the documentation, I thought that it was simply 3 members from the county and 2 members from the city.
it's under the 2008. Which I don't have with me there. I think Ms. Webster was also present.
So what is the thing, cause our ordinance says, as he stated. So it's what?
The operating agreement that's specific to this committee
You have that, Ashley?
says that
Yeah,
the Ladies
it's like-
Methodist Revolving Corporation appoints a non-voting member.
Hmm.
And
And then, who else? Just like
I
that.
think
She's
Mrs.
on-
Webster.
She was listed on the minutes.
Let's see.
So you're on, city, right? One city then, one non-voting member and one.
John and I are both city members.
2
right?
voting city members.
Right.
The previous agreement was 1 voting.
Just so I can update
seconded to approve the minutes for the April meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carried. Okay, we'll move on to the building and maintenance issues. Facility manager, Gary.
I guess I sent you guys out that report, kind of what we did for since the last meeting. That's pretty much it. And the grass is growing pretty good. We got some summer help starting here next week, so that'll help out. But I believe the big thing will be kind of the loading EDF, the loading dock there, getting that done, and then, there's a rooftop unit that's gonna be installed in there shortly. And it's a pretty hefty amount. Other than that, everything's going kind of the same as it's been, just kind of, keeping at it.
What happened with the window at the library? Since we had gotten an email.
Yeah.
All right, and let's move on to the animal shelter. Nobody else has any questions? All right. We'll talk about the animal shelter. Addition to the animal shelter. And compliance issues, that, I'm guessing that was the ADA issue?
Did we learn any more about that anonymous complaint?
So the complaint was printed and given to the animal shelter board at the last meeting, which
Right,
was done a couple weeks ago.
I think we discussed just referring it to the animal shelter board.
Right.
That's what we said, right, okay.
And I believe Mr. Wedwick, made up as Gary how much it was gonna cost to do concrete or something like that. To even out the, sloping issues that they were having, and then I think they discussed putting a sign up with a contact phone number, putting information on the website, and maybe installing a doorbell.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's what we had talked about last time.
But I don't believe they took any official action, I don't know, Gary, if you have more
Okay, you
information.
were directed.
Well, Terry called me about, the EDA openers, but nothing about like concrete or anything like that. He did call me about the openers, and I told him what the quote I got was, and what we could do it for, if we were able to free ourselves up. And we could definitely do it cheaper than what the quote was.
Yeah.
But if I could get two guys freed up to do it,
How long would that take?
I would say probably.
Half a day?
Two guys, probably half a day or so. Yeah, just, we've never actually done an opener before, so. My guys can do it, just,
Yep.
you know, the first one's gonna be.
Yeah, I know, that 5-minute job turns into.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
there is, actually learned this through the mayor, one of his daughters works for the Center for Independent Living, I think they're based out of Eau Claire,
Okay,
and they can do compliance audits, you know, they specialize basically in knowing what the law is, and, I think something with it has to do with the weight of the doors even, whether you need an opener or not.
Okay.
If you'd like, I can ask him to get in contact with her and see if they would charge to come up here.
I think they wait till the animal shelter board and figure out what
Okay, you can do that, but just so you know, that's a resource, but yeah, we'd probably check into whether they charge to come up here or whether they just do it as part of their already paid job, and then, if you do have them come up here, again, opening up a can of worms.
well, that's
then you
the
have
first
to-
thing came to mind to me.
If they find things, then you have to
Then
fix
you're,
it.
Yeah, so those would be the things to look into, but wanted to make you aware of that through him.
okay.
I imagine they could probably tie that into the addition too, I mean,
You would think the engineering for the addition would, you know, everything else they're going through on that, it should be ADA compliant.
Exactly.
If it's not, they're not doing
right, because that's gotta be state approved plans.
Speaking of which, does anyone in the courthouse have a copy of state approved plans for that building? Or as it was built, either one?
We've been trying to, those are.
Oh, yeah, those are, the animal board has them, but remember, Mike Natchez made a ton of changes, so Morgan and Parmalee, I think you were on that email thread with me, they said, just so you know, a lot of changes happened after these plans were created, so these are not what you've got out there.
Engineering companies usually end up producing what they call as-built plans.
Yeah, we didn't get those.
Okay, and those would show the deviations, or should, from the approved plans.
Given that though, you should be able to look at those and you should be able to find the door in question plain as day, and whether there's an opener or some mechanism for it, and then you gotta go up there and eyeball it, and if there's not, there's an answer at least on that one, but yeah, then you don't know what else might have gotten, cheated or whatever.
Ordinarily, those plans need to be kept on premises. There should actually be some out of the shelter, and maybe there are, and maybe the people that work there don't even realize that, you know, they've never had cause to dig in all the files.
I obtained them from the shelter manager, she has them,
Right.
But those are pre-changes.
correct, those are the original, should have been built from.
Okay. Alright, anything else with that?
What's the status of, I guess we didn't really talk about that addition project, they're still working on engineering for it?
No, all of that is done, it's a matter of funding now.
And that's what the addition, cause I know there was a big price tag like that, and then we thought some of that money was for some changes to the original building, and that all got taken out, it's still $600,000.
And I think there was a doggy pavilion and everything in there.
Okay.
If I could just add one more comment, I'm not following state approved plans, that really, that's just a terrible practice. Frankly, that's what probably got the bowling alley in East in trouble. They had state approved plans, didn't follow the roof collapsed. Why do you do things like that? I don't understand.
I don't really think there's anybody here left to go, that
Yeah.
took part in that.
Yeah.
A few board members.
No, but you get
But
on
in-
with the results of it.
Right.
How old is the one up there?
The animal shelter?
6 years old.
So it's not very.
It's not, it's gotta be less than 10. So.
Save a buck up, pay $100 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Now we can go to the library and find out about the window.
So the email come across, I think, that you're talking about,
Yes.
and so then, I had one of my guys go look at it, and it's fine, it sounds like it's fine, the windows are in, they're fine, it's just something like there was like a scuff in them or something. But the windows aren't leaking or nothing, the windows are,
I heard a little bit different, Gary,
Yeah.
but I didn't go look.
okay,
I think I heard that, that it was caused by a subcontractor, maybe the people who were doing the EFS,
okay.
that they had leaned something against the window, or it fell against the window. And while the window glass has been indeed repaired, and it probably doesn't look too bad unless you look for the deviation in it, but I thought that the librarian, Christina, told us last time, I thought, that
It was bad.
that it was bent, and
That's
because of
right.
the bend, you couldn't open that particular window.
Right.
anymore.
Right, and that's
Which
what I-
means, it's less than a perfect,
right.
repair. So where we go with that, I'm not sure.
I did have, my guy took the handles off, so they wouldn't, they'll open the windows, but I guess, I thought, in the email, it kinda said that they were leaking, I mean, they're not leaking, but I do agree with you on that.
I will, be glad to talk to Mr. Luckley, or further, he was the contractor, he didn't do it, but his subcontractor apparently was responsible. He probably didn't even know about it recently. But ultimately, his insurance would probably be responsible, so.
Right.
He's working at City Hall right now. I'll ask him, what he plans to do with it from this point on. And maybe we go with just a connect, so we. The defect is still there.
It's a new window, it should, I think it should be brought to new condition. That's what I think.
I think it's more aesthetics. I get 100%, I think it's more aesthetics, but, I think the window's fine, it's just the frame, correct?
Yeah, I thought I understood the window wasn't open. Is that what you understood?
Because of the bend.
Because of the bend. Did you, said you removed all the handles from it?
Ian took the handles off, cause that's what Christina requested.
Okay. Did you check operation on it?
He didn't.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
There's one other note on the library, since Christina isn't here. Tuesday at the council meeting, the city did authorize submitting an application to the Department of Administration. They have a flexible facilities grant that's out right now. Kind of state trying to spend down the rest of their ARPA money. It's geared towards libraries, provides up to $4.25 million without requiring a match. So, city authorized her to apply for that, for some fixes to the library basement. There's a few things that you have to hit on in your grant application to be considered, like, high-speed internet, accessibility for, telehealth. So folks that, are on a smartphone or a home computer, go in there and get on a webcam, talk with their doctor, and some stuff like that. So the applicant has to be the city. Christina's gonna put it together, go and submit it, and then, anything that might result in any additional burden for ongoing maintenance or utilities, that time we'd have to bring it to this board, to discuss, and then probably have to take it to county board. If there's anything, that would create additional utilities or.
Yeah.
Just to fill you in.
What's the timeline on that?
Applications due July 11th, and awards are announced sometime in October of this year. And then construction, they basically have 12 months to do construction.
Okay. Okay.
It'd be a quick turnaround. Of course, that's assuming that, the state sticks to timelines with it.
Uh-huh. Understood.
Thank you.
Okay, farmer's market, they want an ATM. Charlene was gonna be here.
Yes, she had to run, so I'm gonna present if that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the farmer's market is looking to install an ATM at the third, which is the middle outlet on the south side of the pavilion. And it would be coming from a Rod Schaefer. And from my understanding, there would be no cost to the county on this, they're just looking for permission to put an ATM out there at the market. So if people don't have cash, then the vendors, can refer them to that ATM.
So no liability to the county, it's owned by this individual and
Yep,
he services it. and
yep, and if it were to be stolen, that would be his.
His issue.
I think the only thing is that they have to plug it in, so
Yeah.
a little draw on electricity.
They don't require a phone line anymore?
Probably Wi-Fi it.
I think you're right, I think it is Wi-Fi, yeah.
I think, one of the farmer's market people told me about it, I think the vendor providing it's the same one that provides them for the fair.
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
So some of the counties work with it.
Okay, alright.
Doesn't say action. Says ATM at farmer's market.
Yeah, way up on top.
Oh, yeah, the top, okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Mr. was it Schaefer?
Schaefer.
discussion regarding that? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the motion to allow an ATM at the farmer's market, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That carried. Are you doing Jamie's financial report also, Ashley?
Just if you have questions on it, I guess, any of the, expenses hitting maintenance would probably have to come from Gary. Otherwise, we are looking good on rent, if that's what you're concerned about. We did collect back rent from a tenant. Otherwise, everyone else as of today, which is right at the end of the month, obviously, is current on May. We did get the done paper security deposit today.
Okay, and then the background was enterprise tenant?
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
So the check wasn't advanced?
it actually was, yeah. I went, after I got off the phone with her, I went and checked the mailbox and there it was. And then Sam O'Keefe is paid up in full for Gates, so everything should be good with that tenant as well.
Yeah, and he'll be out tomorrow. When I stopped there, and I further down, was taking like the last of the stuff. I did have just one question on Gates. I see West Cove Lanes marked there without any rent attributed to them.
Is Jim still in there?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything even in 23 or 22. I'd have to look back and see. I thought he started in 22, but maybe just 23, but I'm seeing all zeros there. I do see Gates rent listed up above that with $17.50 and $39.87 in 2022. So maybe he just got coded to a different.
Possibly.
So if Jamie could just take a look at that, it's obviously, yeah, if she reported that nobody's behind them, we're probably good, then just categorize different, just so we can make sure, so we can get on it if need be.
I think he paid like a lump sum for a year. Yeah,
When
and
he
so
first-
there might have been like a whole year without any payments where he was not through and then he got behind for a few months after that ran out.
And that's
But
very.
I know we talked about it getting caught up, I thought he did.
Yeah, if we could just double check that.
So, those rents, I noticed that like for ADF, it looks like the rent has been flat for the last 3 years. It appeared that they must have gotten behind during COVID and then this committee allowed them to catch up. It looked like back in 21, the rent, they paid like 70,000, then they paid 83 and 80, it was 80 something. I should pull this up and I can talk correctly. And then, anyway, I noticed that the budgeted amount for this year was 72,000 for them. That's what, that's good.
I'd have to look back unless Connie or Ashley, if you have access to like a digital copy of the lease, cause I thought we just renewed that
We
last
did,
year.
and we upped.
Yeah, we upped them, was it 5%?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do know before that, I don't remember when it was, but I know at one point they were a little, behind or just market issues or whatever, and they had come to this board at some point. That was back when Andy was still here and asked for a rent reduction for a time. I believe the committee did authorize that at the time.
Okay,
I'm guessing that was pre-21, probably more 18, 19.
We've had a very good year this year.
well, I know they've been out there a long time.
They're very bottom. We haven't spent a whole lot of money there either, so, recently just paving.
But they need,
You're gonna be
The
starting.
roof
Yeah,
top
they
of
need
it,
some-
Yeah, 60.
yeah, what was that estimate, Gary?
60,000, 70,000.
Yeah.
Or full year's rent.
And there's gonna be another one coming up here pretty soon, too.
Was there two rooftop units at ADS?
Was
Was that 60,000-70,000 for all of them or just one?
Should be making a roof then.
I suppose they need a crane and everything to get them off, so.
So then, anyway, that rent for this year was increased from last year.
Yeah, I almost think it's set to like,
It is, there are
Step each
steps
year.
built in, yeah.
cause we signed like a 5-year lease with them.
Yep.
Okay, so it's set up
Yeah.
with a
5%.
CPI or something along that line. Okay. Alright. Just what's received doesn't reflect that, so. Alright,
I just wanna make a comment.
Yeah.
Since I'm, never reluctant to complain, and I think a complaint is necessary, I also think I need to say what I appreciate, and I'm very happy that, that Jamie sending these out in advance of meetings, that look each one over as you did, and, find questions and be able to raise them instead of everybody shuffling through trying to find stuff. And that's great. Same thing with the reports that Gary gives us, telling us what he did since the previous meeting, saves a lot of time and confusion. Very glad to get those. Thank you.
okay, let's move on to the enterprise center. Tenant concerns.
I think it's just kind of,
There's something about cigarette butts is the only thing I saw.
cigarette butts from, that was from Cheryl Transit, but, I think it's kind of parking situation and probably like the roofing materials kind of needs spilt and.
Is that from contractors spilling stuff or what?
Some of the tenants, multiple.
One, yeah,
tenants.
at least one of the
Yeah.
tenants, that email directing people where to park and where not to park did go out. So it was effective June 1st, so after that, we'll see if that remains a problem, but yeah, they're having some issues with at least one of the tenants. That was the one that was behind on their, rent. We will be reviewing their lease, I think it's due in August, so probably at either the June or July meeting, it might not hurt to start on it in the June meeting.
Okay.
Would probably at least look, if we were doing to help them, you know, to be in line with everybody else.
Were the parking issues relative to where they were people were parking? Were they blocking doors or?
Yeah, and, you know, the driveways on each side, I don't have the picture of it, you know, both sides of the building is basically a lane and a half to get through, and people were getting deliveries with big trucks or trying to pull in with their own trailers. Yeah, tenants parking behind their overhead door, and then at least one of the tenants was storing old pallets and construction.
Certainly there's enough paved area out there to accommodate the needed parking.
Yeah.
But I also know that human nature is to want to park right behind the door you're going to. Sometimes proper striping.
There's no
results in-
striping out there right now.
No, I don't think so. Makes parking more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in downtown Ladysmith, we have that, if it's not straight, you know, somebody takes a half of two stories. That's just a problem, so sometimes straightening properly helps. Okay.
Fritz Avenue plan. So we're in the process of doing the HVAC work there.
I guess I think Marty was, I don't really know what.
Mr. Ron has been kind of keeping track of it.
Okay.
That old ugly dust collector did get taken by, Centerline Architecture when they did patch the holes. They left a little bit of junk there that they didn't plan on taking, so I can probably just have our guys do it in the back of the garbage truck and go by there. Eat the pets. Unless you
with some other buildings, and some of the heating, and cooling equipment there, is at the end of the useful lives.
Yep.
Marty's trying to rate herd on that, keep the replacements affordable as possible.
Right, we toured out there a couple months ago, there's one big boiler that runs most of that facility, and I think the date I saw on it was 61 or something like that, so.
Same model year as me.
Still going good then.
One of the downsides of having one big boiler is that, individual tenants can't control their own
Right.
space.
Right,
And as a result of that, we apparently have been absorbing most of the heating costs by passing along to the tenants, which results in that building only breaking even,
Mhm.
rather than being a losing cost.
right,
When you do that.
right. In the interim, could we
Charge per
just
square foot.
proportionally do
I
that?
think we did that on the last Rockwell upgrade, or had planned to the next time it came up for.
Yeah, I think any leases that we renew going forward is kind of a consensus near the end of the last board's term or whatever. Going forward, we should start doing, prorata or whatever, similar to what we would do. So just take like yearly utilities from the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
And figure out the square footage they use and just break it up.
There's, 3 boilers out there though,
At,
not just one though, 3 total out there.
at Fritz.
So, a few months, it might be more like 6 or 8 months ago now, the trucking company out there, their lease was due for renewal, and that's when we started talking about the utilities out there, and we were gonna try to add in, a charge for utilities, and we kind of stopped after discussion on that, and then getting very far, so they've been continuing on a month-to-month basis at the terms of their pre-existing lease. We haven't done anything with that since, to my knowledge.
Yeah, Mr. Reynolds, I think, raised the question about vehicle exhaust being the need for working on trucks.
Did we just recently, was that one of the buildings we approved the vehicle exhaust system on?
We approved a design, there's a state-approved design in place for that location, and also for the enterprise center, but we need to proceed with the project. I think the place that's at is to develop a bid document, however simple or however complicated it needs to be.
The engineers at the time should be,
They can.
might, charge a little bit extra to plug it into their boiler if they did that.
Right.
Well, since there's, everything's under possible motion, do you guys wanna entertain a motion to authorize either the admin coordinator or myself to direct the engineer to design that, at least give us a cost on developing bid
I
specs?
think I've already requested it.
Okay. There you go. Just so we can keep it moving, stuff doesn't sell.
Okay. The ADF plant. Okay, paving project.
I guess I haven't heard nothing for quite a while. Last I heard anything was from Scott Jones. Haven't seen that big of a.
So the paving has yet to be done there.
Yeah, it's not done yet. It's all ripped out, ready, but
So how big a project is that?
2 hours. What's big?
I don't know where it's at.
That's how it is.
It's across from the animal shelter.
That's at the screen, or, it's out on Doggy
Is
Road.
it like a second, it's just a second driveway or so on Doggy Road?
I don't know the blacktop I had to get fired up yet. Still waiting on parts, so.
That'll keep it from happening.
I know they ripped it out because they wanted it to settle, because it's really soft and low right there anyways.
Okay.
I have highway gets going on.
Is there any forecast, Jerry, and how long it's gonna take to get that thing done?
I don't know exactly what part it's gonna be.
So,
Oh, fun. Supply chain issues. Is there any update on Jez Road building?
Engineers are working on the design for the infill building. I mean, it'd be a big rectangle basically with just a couple of man doors for, fire code requirements. All that, it'll have resonator heaters in it, and have to be sprinklered, and gonna have them at least stub, water and sewer up through the floor, so if we ever, assuming the building gets built and, if we subdivide the space at some point, then you have to add some bathrooms, so at least the piping is up through the floor, so you're not having to cut through stuff. So just real preliminary yet, and I talked with someone at the engineering company too about possible sources of grant funding. We are kinda getting to the point that the city, in dealing with the, prospective buyer of that other property, that's starting to take longer than I hoped it would, so. Kinda get to the point where we might tell them to do their business or get off the pot. Cause, yeah, it doesn't make sense to keep holding that stuff vacant. It doesn't help this operation.
No.
You do it for a couple months, and if stuff pans out the way you think, then it works and makes sense. You can't just hold it down.
another, thing that we could keep in mind is potentially framing in only a couple of loading docks. It's a lot easier to frame one in ahead and never use it than it is to come back and start cutting things out and replacing it later on. Gary's no doubt familiar, and others of you may be, with X-framing inside the steel buildings, which is essentially cross cables to, stabilize the sidewalls. And once you have those in place, if you go in and try to put a loading dock in an X-frame location, then it requires what's called a portal design, which becomes very expensive to install. So it's usually easier to have those in up front. Just like framing a window or a door in a house and never building it, as opposed to finding stuff and cutting things out later is a pain. Just a good idea, not very costly.
So, are there any further updates on the plans for the infill building?
Nothing that was,
Okay. Gates Avenue.
yeah, under the addendum, was gonna discuss these renovations to subdivide the space at Gates. Both the bullet points there kind of tie into one another. Did. A couple things we'd be looking to potentially do to the exterior of the building, and a couple things on the interior. We don't all need, yeah. Aaron?
Sure.
Don't need to necessarily do all of them, so we'll talk first on the exterior here. And talk to Gary, I don't know if you've had time to really crunch numbers or look at what was needed, but, if you look down on the south end of the building, kind of the reddish orange rectangle that says improved driveway, there is an existing overhead door back there that, the fiberglass operation has access to. The problem is there isn't really good vehicle access to get back to it. Some of the gravel's solid, but there's a chunk where there's a ditch and it's basically a cow path to actually get back there, so if you're bringing in a flatbed truck to load, finished product or, molds onto, you can't really access that. The need for doing that is, viable by the bear bait guy, Mr. O'Keefe. Which, on this one here is outlined partially in purple. So that would take up the overhead door that, the fiberglass base office currently uses. Thus creating the need for them to have a different access point. The paper mill, as Mr. Coggins probably knows, working with them, deals with big heavy bales of stuff. We don't want that stuff falling on somebody, you especially don't want it falling on somebody that's not affiliated with the company, that has no reason to be in the space, but wandered in to look at it because there wasn't a fence to keep them out. So we'd be looking at, running a fence basically where that purple line is. That lines up with support posts that are in the building, so provides a good surface for mounting the fencing to. You'd probably have to put a few smaller posts in between just to carry the weight of the fence. The city, I think, does have ample fence and storage from the old Mount Scenario baseball and softball fields that we can make available for that. I haven't been able to get a quote yet from anybody on installation. I know Gary mentioned your crew's pretty busy, so you don't know when you necessarily get to it. By a word, it would be looking tentatively at moving in July 1st. So we need to kind of get some stuff moving.
They're already in the section earmarked done paper, correct?
Yeah, the red and the green,
Okay.
so.
Have you mentioned the fencing with them?
Yeah, they were the ones that suggested it.
I wonder if they're on maintenance crew potentially.
That's a possibility. I know they made some alterations to the space that they're currently in, so.
I think they've got some fairly high skill people.
They've got some good people. They're usually trying for, time to do they're spoken for a lot of the time.
Yeah, more than.
And then the other thing I put in the purple there was just the possibility somewhere down the road of adding a new driveway off the city water tower access road and cutting a garage door in on that backside. As another option, right now that would go into the space that Jim West is leasing for his bowling equipment. But conceivably, that'll come available at some point here between now and December 31st if his plans for the bowling alley go through. Whether BioOrigin would absorb that, whether the fiberglass guy would, whether we just have another space that we advertise for rent. Chad Blackleitner shot me just a budgetary number of $12,000 to put in a door with an apron, openers and bollards to protect the side. So I told him to shoot high, so that when we get it out, hopefully comes in low. I think that one can certainly be a back burner item, doesn't need to get figured out, but I think the driveway improvements and the fencing need to get done. Did you have?
I just figured, I just about figured like, it's 220 feet long by, I figured about 30 feet. I mean, figure about eight to 10 quads of fill would, be plenty for that. But did you say you want a blacktop?
They had talked about at least some blacktop, like right by the door itself. They know that when they try to even turn, their small vehicles in there.
How big of an area would you think for, I read about concrete in there myself, blacktop, but.
Yeah, I suppose blacktop.
Especially with a 4-foot sun hits it.
Picture tires on it, so they're up.
Yeah,
Think like a 12 by 12 or something.
yeah, I would probably, I think that door is like 12 feet wide.
Yeah.
I think I'd do a 12 by 20 or something like that. But, I mean, that's something that we could do, with concrete, we can do no problem ourselves. But blacktop will have to get highway involved.
So if you, had highway drop off the gravel and you guys did the concrete, then basically, an in-house job for that part.
And I imagine, you're gonna need a new driveway over on that other side there too.
that now. I think if we could get this one in usable shape, that'll suffice for a while. You know, if they note that it's still difficult, or, you know, we wind up finding a different tenant that takes that little corner, that might necessitate it.
I would, I mean, we could do that, I mean, it's just, I'm just gonna have to pick a day to do it, or pick, it's gonna be a couple days to do it, but, and it's gonna be about $1,500, and I can purchase $1,500 of stuff. It's gonna, unless you guys approve it, I guess, or, the concrete alone will be $1,500.
Okay. So if that would be something the committee would be willing to entertain, and then, if you'd be willing to entertain authorizing permission to seek and, you know, try to receive 2 or 3 bids for the fencing, and maybe setting an upper limit on that, so we can get it rolling, places get back to us, or if you're willing to call just a quick meeting, 'cause otherwise we'll be late June.
When do they want that space?
Looking at moving in July 1st.
Okay, so not a lot of time, really, so, I mean,
But they can be in there, they just, before the fence is up, they just don't want people
so I
getting into there.
mean, I can make everything work, I just, if you guys give me, say, go ahead with it, I mean, I can make it work.
You can do the fencing.
I can do the fencing too, but I think, you just gotta give me the go ahead, and I'll make it work. And if I have a month of schedule, I can make it work.
So the city has material for most of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's about 200 linear feet of fencing. We've got stuff out on our supply pile, we call it, from 6 to 10 feet high.
Alright, I'll make a motion to apply against rents.
Or maybe if you wanna do it in a different order, I can give you the proposed lease agreement for BioOrigin, and you can decide if you wanna approve that first, and if you don't approve that, then we don't get the changes.
And approving it creates the revenue stream.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave, I'm a little out of sorts. And I just printed off like the important pages, not all the other boilerplate stuff. So how I set this up was, if they start July 1st, that would leave 6 months this year. And then, set it up to be another, I think, 12 months next year, which would line it up with their lease on the other space that's noted in the red and green. So that way both those would come due at the same time, so you're not renewing one, 2 years from now, and another one a year and a half from now. Everything just kind of lines up. Probably easier for them to review 2 at once, or even, when you get to that renewal period, then you can just combine both leases into one if they still want all the space. So the price per square foot would jive exactly with what their current lease does. It's stepping up 10 cents a square foot every 3 months until reaching the full lease rate of $3 a square foot. Then in addition to that, Article 15, which would be on page 3, it's numbered page 5, so that you can cut out the fluff in printing, would be an additional $742 per month for the utilities based on their prorated share of square footage, so. You're looking at $2,500 a month, roughly, by the time you hit months 10 through 12, almost $2,900 a month. Which, at least, in looking at the financials that were provided, I just gotta find the right page. So last year there was a $14,000, almost 15 loss of gates. The year before that was 35. 37. So I think just doing the rough math, 2,500 times 12. You know, then you're in the black on that property. I haven't had enough coffee today to actually do it. Yeah, you're looking at $30,000 roughly in income. Now that's assuming utilities stay similar and electrical usage doesn't go up, but again, it's, yeah, mostly warehousing space, so lights are coming on and off when people are in there and doors are going up and down and stuff, so not like they're putting in a bunch of heavy equipment that's gonna be running and machines and stuff.
So do they keep a forklift over there, or do they?
Yeah, they've got one plugged in their current space.
Okay.
I think Rams does all their hauling.
I think the forklift actually runs Rams too.
Also, Rand's supplies somebody to unload and do that.
I think so.
That might just be the truck driver. They maybe go in there once in a while to do, inventory.
As the forklift driver hit the side of one of the doors recently, and Rams covered that.
Okay, okay. I wondered how they managed that.
And their reason for wanting more space is, my understanding is this supports a new product line that they're adding, their new contract they took on.
Yep.
And it sounds like the stuff they're gonna use is actually coming in on a rail car, it'll have to be unloaded truck from wherever there's a rail siding to here. And then, truck from here to the plant, but they have to have a, feedstock and stuff to fall back on and all of that, so. Just that's my real rough understanding without knowing a whole lot about the business.
Well, that would be nice to see that get in black.
Yeah, for sure, and there's a lot of potential out there to put it even more into the black, but we'll talk about that later.
Can you just go over how you came up with the utilities price there? We are charging them $742 a month for utilities. Did you take the total square footage of the building?
Yeah.
Divided out by the utility costs?
Yeah, and with the other leases that we did, we had it at 8 cents per square foot, so the other lease they signed, and the lease that, the Fiberglass company has, and Mr. West. And so, yeah, just multiplying the 8 cents per square foot by the square footage.
When you made that square footage number, did you include the sheriff's department space that?
Yeah, the whole thing's based on like approximately 62,500 square feet of the total building. So the sheriff's department doesn't get covered in this.
Okay.
Doesn't actually get, that gets eaten by the mining fund.
Yep. That's part of our red on that one, not collecting utilities on that.
Yeah, not collecting that.
So just for probably Jerry's and my information both, where on this drawing is what the sheriff's department is?
A.
All of it.
Blue oak. Yeah.
How many square feet is that?
22.5 approximately, including the offices.
And we're not collecting any rent on that or utilities.
Right, the county is using their money fund to make that, to offset that, correct?
The mining fund, yeah.
Right.
That's what eats the losses on that, correct? The city PD actually does pay as part of the rent for here, but they get to use the storage up here too, so in a way, the city PD's paying a little bit for rent on.
How is that, how are they paying out there?
We pay about 21,000 a year, it's primarily for office space.
The
here.
13,360 for rent.
And then the rest is.
Reception.
Reception, okay. Yeah, in the lease, it states that we get to use the sheriff's storage deeds.
Okay, even though there's no somebody can sublease something that they don't lease to begin with. Turning that into something.
Well, there's minutes that said that it was discussed with this committee and it seemed to be approved from what I could find.
Approved temporarily until any.
It did nothing said, there was nothing that said temporary in those minutes.
I'll forward you some emails.
That'd be great. Any more information we can get is good, cause we're trying to get a lot. Well, I mean, I'm just saying,
Oh, yeah,
when Mr. Alvarado was in the position, let's just say records, it's a challenge to get good records during that time, so we'll just leave that.
Yeah, so we'd be looking for action on the lease and then action on authorizing Gary to do the driveway on the south side with concrete, you know, to extend the apron and then, to install the fencing supplied by the city for the church.
I'll make a motion to do both. Approve the lease and approve the work outline for the county maintenance.
Okay, do we have a second for that? Motion's been made and seconded for part A to approve the lease agreement with BioOrigin Specialty Products, and part 2 to approve the work, as described formerly regarding the pad on the south door.
No, that was the fence between the two areas, not the pad,
Not the pad, just the fence.
just the stuff related to BioOrigin.
Okay, alright.
Well, yeah, I was looking
It'll
at
be-
it, include that south driveway and that hand.
That'll be in a second motion, I guess, since these two are related. Okay, so motion is for the lease agreement and the fencing. Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll entertain a motion for the cement work on the south end of that building.
Estimate here, 50.
I would say $3,500 to $4,500 probably. Concrete and just, base gravel, base fill. Probably eight loads of gravel, probably, and then, I would say probably 6 to 8 yards of concrete.
And how many man hours? Yes.
I would say we probably, I mean, we wouldn't be there full time, we'd be doing other stuff, but I would say 2 to 3 days probably. Knock it out.
So your time on that project would get charged out to this.
We do powers on all the buildings and at the end of the year, and Jamie gets it.
Yeah, it's part of the cost allocation.
Right. So I'm just trying, cause so some of, you know, their labor obviously gets applied, to it, so I'm just trying to figure out how much
Maybe you
that
could do like
actually
a
is.
dollar amount plus labor, you know, plus related labor, because it'd be kinda hard to figure that all out.
Right.
I would say it's gonna be roughly $1,500 for concrete and $1,500 to $2,000 for gravel. And then, if I could get highways, track skidster, or, then the track skidster, probably $350.
If you can't get highways, let me know, maybe we can let you borrow the city for free. City. That's just down the road.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Do you want
Do we need to put a dollar amount
Yeah,
total on that?
4,500?
Second.
Can you put plus labor in there? I did.
So the motion's been made and seconded to approve allocating $4,500 for material costs plus labor,
To be charged
To be-
insurance.
yes. For this cement work and so part of the, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That carried.
Thanks, and then, yeah, that's all I had on that.
Okay,
Maybe one more question while we're on that building.
absolutely.
This area between the purple and the orange down through the section there is what's going on with that area? Are we just leaving it the way it is?
Yeah.
So Mr. West has access, along that corridor through there?
Yeah, all the previous leases, A&M Fiberglass and, Mr. West's lease had access to what was considered a common area, which was part of E2, so that section of E2 with those two loading docks will remain accessible for loading on.
Could, just for information purposes, could you just go through and say who has, so the sheriff's department has a,
Yep.
Bi-Origin has B, C, and the lion's share of D. Or if that, or down to the purple line is considered D or D2.
Yeah, the purple area of B2.
So D1 is Mr. West
Yep.
with bowling alley,
Correct.
and the long skinny part is also his?
It's like a common area.
That's a common
Yeah,
area.
it's defined as a common area in the leases for those.
Sounds like it's pretty unleasable the way it's written now. If we did have, if we had another access off the, that corner as shown in this drawing, the purple new driveway, then we could, separately lease out that area or somebody else could utilize that space, but that space needs to be left vacant essentially to give Mr. West access and the fiberglass folks access.
And there in E, do they have that whole, everything along the south side too? Is that part of the fiberglass?
Yeah, everything outlined in orange there in
Okay.
fiberglass, but yeah, they don't, in the section they're in, don't have a loading dock for whatever reason. I think back when, that building was renovated, that addition that's in the dark gray was put in, that was all 5R, it was gonna all be 5R, so, you got a single user, so
Yeah.
you don't necessarily worry about subdividing
Right.
space, they'll find their way to the dock.
Yep.
When they need to. Yeah, so subdividing it has created a few issues and spots.
So there's actually 7 docks on this. There's 3 on the west and then 4 on the east, is that correct?
There's 6 on the west, and only 2 on the east, the 2 furthest north. The other ones that show there, I think were originally there, but got covered up in the renovation.
Oh, these are docks down here off of D2?
Yeah.
Down in that corner there, D2, and then
Yeah.
part of that long skinny part has 2 docks?
Yep.
Okay, so 3, alright, I missed those,
Yeah, it should be a total of 8 loading docks.
okay. Anything else on Gates Building? Okay. Joint management agreement. Mr. Christensen, you passed that out right at the end of the last meeting.
Yes.
Has everybody gotten a chance to review that, read through it? It's the same one, it's just a copy, I asked.
Has there been any changes since when we read last one?
No, I did quickly scan it today, and I'd probably like to do a little minor editing, just nothing that would involve a substantial change in the direction. But I would note, down under meeting place and time, that, the city of Ladysmith meets very, very seldom during the day. Has most of its meetings in the evening because people like yourself have a work day to get through, and it can be problematic to come into a meeting change that, so I'd like to suggest that at least be considered to, change the meeting time from, it's listed in here as 1 p.m. I think we did that to accommodate Tony Hauser and other people who at one point in time, we held these right after the county property committee meetings, cause people were already here. But with the current makeup, if we go to 5 p.m. or something, or 5:15 p.m., at least for you folks that have to, work during the day, that might be an improvement. It's a little bit more problematic for staff, but depending on how your employer deals with that, if they pay you for that attendance or not. At City Hall, the staff that are required to stay after school, so they get paid for meeting attendance, the same way the, elected members too.
Part of the job.
Do they get a comp time? Can you take comp time on it?
So, I don't have much issue with, daytime meeting, I do prefer the 3 to the 1, 1 o'clock kind of cuts into the whole middle of the day thing, and I think this meeting requires a lot of staff, so I think that'll, I think 3 works good, and I do the job, say an hour early, whatever, that seems to work okay. And I think that we go back to inviting the public, though, there usually isn't much public here, maybe there would be if we had it at 5 o'clock, I don't know that.
Doesn't seem to change at all, the city, the public, interacts on the computer, complains about everything, but doesn't show up to have dialogue about it, which would explain the complaints. Does anybody have any thoughts on any other parts of this?
I was wondering the why behind adding the LIDC member as a voting member.
That member, as I said, has existed since the last meeting. Frankly, the thing isn't set up fairly. If anybody can give me any rational reason why the city has only 2 people and the county has 3, when it's a 50-50 operation, I don't see it. I think that even the Ladysmith Industrial Development Corporation isn't the city, and it has members that reside and operate outside of the city. But, because this committee started out originally as being pretty much just an economic development entity, the Ladysmith Development Corporation has partnered consistently with the city for decades on undoing projects. One of the biggest ones was, over the years, the city, has expanded the Rockwell Automation East Base 8 times. And, they employ about 300 people there, so it's been a significant employer. An issue came up for the city about halfway through, that after 2 or 3 major expansions, we couldn't legally borrow enough money, we were up against some debt. Couldn't borrow to do any further expansion. So we essentially, assigned the city lease to the development corporation, which took the lease to the bank, borrowed against the lease, and financed further expansions. So, they've been kind of a partner all along that way, and I think for the people that have sat here understand that the current president, Marty Reynolds, who has been serving in that capacity, and as a plumbing and heating contractor, it's nice to have him here, because we deal with a lot of those issues, between buildings, it all goes over the top of my head. Mr. Cannon, I'm looking to change that first. I'd probably blow the house up.
The other thing I'd like to consider on this is how can we, and maybe we shouldn't or not, I don't feel like the public service properties are any of our business here. They all have their own, the animal shelter has their own board, the library has a library board, I guess the visitor center, I guess they're kind of, is the Chamber of Commerce kind of operate that building.
They have
So
there's a Russ County Tourism Committee that
Right. So there's,
oversees the operation.
right, so I feel like we add an extra step in a bureaucratic process that we don't need to, and it just adds,
I totally agree.
adds things that Gary has to tell us about here that he's told 4 other boards about, so I feel like we don't, unless there's a statutory requirement for us to oversee them somehow, I don't think we should stick our nose in their business.
I don't have an issue with that part at all. It just seems redundant.
How can we go about doing that? What's this?
That's a really good question.
If the city and county adopt,
We could put that in our joint operating.
both
agreement.
parties agree to this agreement, and it says that we're not doing anything, then that would be.
We would have to change our ordinances. The county would.
So the county board could do that, if they choose.
Corporation council as well.
Randy was the one that, Randy Tater seemed to be, he thought that this board needed to be involved with the library, because there was nobody on the library board that had much knowledge about buildings. But,
That did turn out real well for them first time, I guess.
but, you know, if that library board has an issue with the building, they should bring Gary into their meeting and have him deal with it. I don't know
Yeah, we play this.
why adding
game
this
of telephone.
onto that is necessary.
So you're looking to strike all that out of this contract?
That, yeah, the whole from public service properties down. And maybe we leave a statement in it saying, this committee would have no other interest in the public service properties such as the animal shelter, library, and business center.
We'd have to change the contract then?
Yeah, so several of our ordinances would need to be changed, I believe.
Better to be allowed to bring that in, better.
Oh, yeah, I think so, I agree with John, like, there's just so much red tape, yeah. Mhm.
But I guess that's something, who wants to look into that for next one?
I
That's
can
good.
look into that for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I agree with you with striking them out of the everything.
Yeah, I think, yeah, if Mr. Summerfield could look, and maybe there is some kind of statutory requirement to have, I could see the library being one that might,
But they have their own boards.
Exactly.
So then they gotta come here, and then they gotta go to property.
Right.
So there's too many boards trying to manage it.
Exactly.
So we need to be striking that out. I mean, if they have a board that they can.
Exactly. No, I think that.
everybody got to get paid for a meeting. That's all I had on that agreement.
If we've covered that at the last meeting, I also provided a couple of handouts that were intended to be background for new members. And I talked about, where this particular committee started, what its original purpose was, and then the number of projects that we've taken on over time. The majority of which were economic development oriented. And,
This one.
yeah, it was my hope that everyone would be able to read through those, and, I just wanted to be sure that everybody concurred with what they read. If anybody thought they knew anything different, that they'd let me know. And I could either, change it and agree with them, or bring in the proof of anything that everybody didn't concur with. So that anytime there's turnover, that people can read back and find out why are we involved with this property to begin with. Obviously, in a couple of cases, the multi-tenant buildings that we have, Fritz Avenue and Gates Avenue, came back to the county by tax title. The county was kind of at a dilemma, it had no no economic development staff at the time. And the choices were to, raise those buildings at probably several $100,000 apiece, or to spend a comparable full amount of money rehabilitating them and putting them on the market. We did that, and those buildings, support a lot of employment now. So they've done what we intended them to do. Been a few hiccups along the way. But people like Five Hour Processors, but for the most part, we saw 600 to 700 new jobs created over the years, which was a significant number in the county this year.
But even Fred's is still costing us money.
Yeah.
Even though we may be employing people, that building's costing us money.
And that's because essentially we're eating the heating cost, which we shouldn't. And we need to change that.
Will that amount to 30,000 a year?
Yeah,
This
it's
year?
more than that.
Serious?
It's poorly insulated because of its age.
Okay.
Yeah, was it, I don't see, it was like 70,000 we paid in utilities on that last year.
So we don't have that, we don't have the leases written, so that's accounted for.
And the problem there is partly that when it had, Gary pointed out that there's 3 heating systems, but there's one large one and 2 small
Yep,
ones.
yep.
And, it should have been divided up by square footage, like we're doing elsewhere.
And I mentioned that, trucking, what's the name of that trucking company?
Dahlstrom.
We went over their lease a few months ago, that was up for renewal, and we didn't take any action on it because we were trying to include utilities on that in some way. So we gotta get a new lease on that rather than renewing the current one.
So I think we're pretty well committed going forward, that they're gonna pay their
Okay.
heat. And,
Well, we're getting kinda off topic, we're on the agreement. So, let's stay on topic on the agreement, what we're gonna do with it.
Well,
There's a few things that I marked and I'd like to go over, coming back next month.
Can we update this a little bit, taking out the public service properties and everybody can bring their changes?
First one, the makeup, I don't believe we should have 6 members. That's just, smart practice on voting. It's,
well, if we wanted to be fair about that, the county's had 3 for the last 20 years, and the city 2. How about we flip that then?
that
Three
won't matter
ci- three
because the
city
county
and 2
sets it up as 5 members, out of the 5 members from the city that are on the county board. 1 person out of them 5 gotta be on joint management, so it's a city resident that's on the county board.
That hasn't always worked.
That's the way the county has it set up to.
Well, they can change it just like we.
I don't believe we need the 6 members. It's not.
I agree with you. I do agree with you, because the city has 3 members in representation by citizenship. And then the county has 3 members, or,
Well, 3, yeah.
Doesn't everybody in the city live in the county?
exactly. Yes. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but there's two out of the 5 then that don't live in the city.
Right.
Everybody lives in the county, not everybody lives in the city, so it's,
So it depends on which way you wanna look at it.
yeah, you look at it both ways and it's the same either way, so. Yeah, you get one, you still only have 3 in the city and 5 in the county, so.
So that, I would recommend that be one of the changes. And,
Sorry, just to stay on that real quick, as Mr. Christensen mentioned, the Industrial Development Corporation isn't a city function. That's a corporate agency that does not exist solely in the city. They represent maybe even outside the county, perspective on enterprises, so. I think, but then that gets us back to 6 again, they're not tied specifically to either the city or the county sides.
I'm not so hung up on the 6 members because I would tell you this, I would defy anyone sitting at this table or outside the room to find a case where we've ever had a tie vote. We have never had a tie vote.
Cause you got 5 members. You can't have a tie, you can't have a tie
You
vote.
kind of, if you're not all here, I get it.
How would even a 3-2 vote?
Yeah, you're meeting.
Right.
There's only 4 people here today.
That's true.
Most of the time, they're unanimous.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees, and usually you're better off if you work toward an agreement. And frankly, I had the last Ladysmith / county representative told me he couldn't vote on something that favored the city because he'd be stripped of his power on the county board. So he told me he had no power, essentially, which is bullshit.
Yeah,
It's bullshit.
that is. Well, I think we're premature in voting. We're not gonna take action on this today. I think it's wise for us all to go through this with a fine tooth comb. Look at what we like, look at what we don't like, bring that back to this committee the next time. In the meantime, I think we should have corporate counsel redo it. And see if there's anything, go back to how this committee was formed initially, see how this coincides with it.
No, I was just gonna throw it out there, yeah, I don't know if 6 members make sense, cause you could have a tie, I don't know how you break the tie.
Well, you'd have to stipulate a
Put some
method in there,
procedures,
yeah.
arm wrestling or flip a coin or whatever.
It's usually the tie votes, they just fail, they don't accomplish what the motion.
Yes.
Because they fail for lack of a.
But otherwise, what if, yeah, you want 2 city reps, 2 county reps, and 1 IEC rep, that's kind of the independent. Then you get 2 and 2, you know, picked from each group, and you maybe drop the need for the city rep. Or the, you know,
Requirement.
city district rep from the county, and the county can just put whatever 2 they want on there. Just throwing it out there, having a
Is the county property committee still represented, is that, are you that representative, Jerry, are you the chair of that committee?
No, not the chair.
Yep, yeah,
The vice chair.
correct.
Cause I think the county selected Tony Hauser over the years for that reason. Which made some sense, and it was coordination of that.
Okay. I think we can move on from this one. Yep. All right, let's move on. So we have some building, or some former tenants who are owed security deposits. We just found. Ashley or Jamie?
Yeah.
Do you wanna mention or enlighten us on the security deposits?
Sure, so the finance committee was auditing or department, excuse me, was auditing our books and, found that we still have 3 security deposits. One is from Beechworth, which from our records, it dates back to 2018 is when they vacated, and they are actually no longer in existence. Their parent company, I learned from Alan, is James Hardy, okay? Oak Pros just vacated last year. We had to do some work with some damage that was done there. That invoice has come in, it's cleared, we've removed that from the security deposit, so we would like to be able to release that to them. And then the Wisconsin Screen Process Company, also dated back to 2018 or 2019. From the records that I was able to find, both Beechworth and Wisconsin Screen Process left in good standing, which means that they were up to date on rent. So I see no issue with releasing these, but we're coming to you guys for permission. The Oak Pros security deposit was $3,000. There was one invoice for repairs that we deducted of $91.81. So we would like to release to them $2,908.19. Oak Pros,
Thank you.
OPE.
Yep.
Okay. The Beechworth, security deposit, if you're curious, dates back to November 25th of 2016. And we would like to release to them $1,893.71.
Why that amount?
I believe some repairs were deducted from that, records of which we cannot find. I believe the original deposit was $2,500. I'm sorry, I don't have more information to
No, I
provide on that.
understand.
Okay, and then Wisconsin screen process also dates back to 2016, that was December 8th. And, their security deposit is in full at $750. And that company is still in existence, and we do have an address for them. Again, the Beechworth one, I would need to try to make contact with someone at James Hardy. Otherwise, Corp Council is suggesting we give it back to Department of Revenue, I believe, and unclaimed, funds.
Any questions? Discussion?
And you talked with council about the potential for penalties or interest for not having paid that back already?
That's, all of that is up to this committee,
Okay,
whether you want to release that amount, whether you want to release it with interest, whether you want to wait to see what these companies say.
did Rich know, I guess I don't know, I know on a residential real estate, I need to pay 1% on it. And I don't know what the penalty is if you don't send it back 28 days later, so.
He didn't give a dollar amount.
I don't know.
I'm guessing that most of them aren't gonna bother trying to collect $28.
Yeah.
In the amount stated. I'll second Jerry's.
Any other discussion? Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to return the security deposits to Beechworth in the amount of $1,893.71. To Oak Pros in the amount of $2,900. Oh, shoot, I did, $818.19.
Oh, 19 cents.
Oh, yeah,
To Wisconsin Screen Process in the amount of $750. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carried. Okay. So, we put, you requested and I had already had it on here, talked about it too. Put on a closed session to discuss, potential tenants at the, where the infill building is being proposed.
Oh, yeah, we were kind of open-ended.
That was just in case, wasn't it, Alan?
Well, there's actually one that has an interest in building that I can discuss, but yeah, they would be looking to negotiate a dollar amount. We're not there yet, but it's also kind of like a top secret project on their end according to them. So if you'd like to discuss that, at least get it introduced, you can kind of have it in the back of your head.
I think it'd be wise, I mean, if we have interest in these buildings, I think that should be done.
Yeah, they were gonna be up here next week, to do an exterior tour of the area.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
okay, do we have the second?
Second.
Need, I know on the county board, we need a roll call vote for that, so. Mr. Billy?
Yes.
Mr. Kenyon?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Christensen? Oh, yes. Oh, so we'll be going into closed session. Action to go into closed session under authority granted in Wisconsin statute 19.851 Wisconsin statutes to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public property, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, to wit, to discuss lease with potential new industrial tenant at joint management owned facility with possible action.
Well, here.
We are now.
No, we're now in closed session. This is what's still on the computer camera going. All right, so we'll reconvene it into open session, 4:47 PM. No action will be taken on anything discussed in closed session. Our next thing, I just think for myself and for Jerry, to set a tour up for the joint management buildings would be really beneficial. So if the rest of you are okay with that, if we can set a date for that. And what kind of time frame do we need to set aside to be able to do that? I mean, what is it, 7 buildings?
Oh, you want to do all of them?
Well,
All the ones under the joint management.
I have one.
yeah, I mean, we don't need to do the library and those 3, but
The industrial building.
yes.
Is what you're looking at. You wanna do a divide and conquer, or you do like half and half? 'Cause some of them are large enough that you're probably spending at least 30 minutes if you go through like every section and kind of discuss what's going on in them and all of that, so, yeah, you split them. Do you wanna spend more than 2 hours at a time?
Yeah, we could spend all day, cause when we toured like a third of the Fritz Avenue one, we were there over an hour a few months ago, so it could turn into an all-day ordeal pretty quick, I think.
Well,
You're
I'd
probably,
rather waste 1 day than 2.
I agree with that.
what day of the week, better?
A rain day?
What's that? A rain day?
Well, so, if we wanna go in, we need to get, coordinated with tenants and everything.
Yeah, give them notice, you could post it as a meeting.
Right,
or
right, it'd be a-
non-meeting, whatever.
As, yeah, there will be
No
a tour, there's
action.
no
would
action
be-
taken,
right.
yeah. You can do that.
Yeah, cause otherwise my thought was, have a meeting like this and then go, tackle 1 or 2 at a time. Yeah, if you grab.
Well, that's what I was wondering, would that be better if we just, if we set a meeting time and either toured a building first or we adjourned? We just went from the meeting and then we had a building that we were gonna tour. I mean, it would take a number of months to get through all of them if we did went that route, or if we did 2 at a pop.
We recently did Sutherland that way, we did the Fritz and Pete's
And I'm sorry that you just
Right.
went through
So,
that.
But,
John.
we only did a couple of them, so we haven't visited many of them, so, and I think that, if you're there for less than an hour or so, it doesn't turn into a whole day ordeal.
Those 2 on Jez Road won't take long at all, if we do them soon.
Mhm.
They're vacant.
Yeah, you
See the whole building in one point.
Do them now if you have it.
What if we did those and ADF, since that'd be so quick, we did those and ADF and. that would
Right,
be
cause they're
hours.
right there.
Yeah, and then if you have one, you can tie the enterprise center into it, and then you hit everything on, in that industrial part. And if you get tired of doing it once you're leaving ADF, you can save enterprise for the next time. And then, make like Gates and Fritz a separate one.
Mhm.
I mean, you could do those both together.
You want to
Yeah.
do them after the next meeting?
I think so.
March 27th.
I like that idea.
I would rather do that than we're not. It's not an additional meeting, it's,
And then, yeah, we could just formally adjourn once we're done with those and let you know what time.
Time, yeah.
so,
After the meeting, it should be whenever, directly after
yep,
joint management meeting ends.
yep. Okay, so what buildings should we do next?
Yeah, I think we leave it those,
Alright,
discuss
let's
it.
do that.
Yeah, LDJ is ADF, then,
Yeah, they seem to be the topic of discussion, right? Well, Gates is too, but.
Valley, Jazz and
ADF
Thank you.
and Enterprise. Yeah, we'll break off before Enterprise, we can do that a different way. And if a need comes up, for one of the other two, due to stuff discussing closed or whatever, Mr. Coggins, I'll let you know, and I guess be your prerogative of whether you wanted to call it special. If a need comes up to look at any of the other spaces
Okay,
before the July meeting.
alright. Okay. Yeah, I think.
Did you want that in the form of a motion or anything, it's just on the, it's gonna be on the agenda?
It'll just be on the agenda, yeah.
Then we actually have the next meeting date set.
Yes, and we're good with 3:00 for now. I know, I'll tell you, 3:00 for me isn't the best, but it's way better than 1. And if we're gonna do what we're gonna do, we don't wanna start at 5 and be going till,
Good night.
yeah, well, hopefully not like that, but. So, are we okay with 3:00 next time? Miss Senior?